Hi everybody, I'm Miss Cooksey. Today we're going to talk about interpreting functions. So in previous videos, we talked about the fact that a function is a special kind of relation in which every input has exactly one output. Today we're going to look at how to interpret a function on a table, on a graph, and in a situation. So in math, we do a lot of solving and a lot of manipulating straight mathematical expressions, but we really need to know how to interpret things if we want to make them useful. So today we're talking about interpreting functions. So let's start with on a table. So here we have a table and we're given some x values, and then we're given some f of x values and some g of x values. So this means that when I input -3 into the function of f of x, out comes 20. But if I input -3 into the function of g of x, out comes -5. So that's what this table is telling us. So let's go through some traditional questions that would be about this table and answer them. So the first one is, what is g of -3? Well, to figure that out, I'm going to look at -3 in my x's, and then I want to see what is g when I input -3. It's -5. So g of -3 is -5. The next question is, for what values of x does f of x equal 0? Well, to solve this, I'm going to look and see where is f of x equal to 0. So f of x is equal to 0 here and here. Well, if I take those two values and look over to see what values of x they are, it is 1 and 2. So this tells us that f of x equals 0 when x equals 1 and x equals 2. Next, we're asked, on what interval does f of x seem to be increasing? So we are looking for, where does f of x seem to be getting bigger? Well, here I go from 20 to 12, so that's getting smaller. 12 to 6, smaller. 6 to 2, smaller. 2 to 0, smaller. 0 to 0 stays the same. But then it seems like from 0 to 6, f of x is getting bigger. So that means that between when x is 2 through when x is 4, f of x is getting bigger. So from 2 to 4, including 2 and 4, f of x is getting bigger. The final question for our table is, on what interval is g of x greater than f of x? So I'll grab a highlighter and let's look. So here f of x is 20, g of x is -5. Definitely not greater. Here we have g of x is -1, f of x is 12, not greater. Here we have g of x is 3, f of x is 6, not greater. But here, g of x is 7 and f of x is 2. So that looks greater. Here I have g of x is greater. Ooh, that did not go well. So let's just highlight the 11. Here, 15 is bigger than 0, 19 is bigger than 2, 23 is bigger than 6. We don't quite know how this pattern is going to continue because we're not thinking about that for this question. So we are only going to look at the x values we can see. So we know for sure that from x equals 0 through x equals 4, g of x is greater than f of x. Now let's look at a graph. So here's a function on the graph. This is a cubic function because it's got these two little swoop-de-doos. So our first question, what is f of -2? Well, -2 is our input, so it's our x value. So we're being asked, what is the function of f at x equals -2? So we're going to look to see, where does this graph touch the y-axis when, or what is the y value when x equals -2? So here, at x equals -2, y equals 1. So we can say that f of -2 equals 1 because that's where our graph is. It's at 1 on the y-axis. The next question says, when does f of x equal 0? So this is asking me, at what x values does my y value equal 0? Well, here, my y value equals 0 anywhere along the x-axis. So there's 3 points along the x-axis where y equals 0. So f of x equals 0 when x equals -3, -1, and 2. This is how we're going to interpret a function on a graph. In our last example, we're going to interpret a function in real life. So this is the problem situation. Let f of t be the outside temperature t hours after 6 a.m. Explain the meaning of each statement. So T is going to be the hours after 6 a.m. F of T is the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. So this first statement says F of 0 equals 58. This means that 0 hours after 6 a.m. or at 6 a.m., the temperature is 58. So at 6 a.m., the temperature is 58. A reminder, the reason that 0 means 6 a.m. is that T means hours after 6 a.m. So 0 hours after 6 a.m., it is 6 a.m. In our next example, we have f of 6 equals 82. Well, this would mean 6 hours after 6 a.m. or noon, it's 82 degrees. So at 12 p.m. or noon, the temperature is 82 degrees. Let's look at our last example. F of 3 is less than f of 9. Well, here we're not given any temperatures, but we are given 3 hours after 6 a.m. is less than 9 hours after 6 a.m. So we can actually state this as the temperature at 9 a.m. or 3 hours after 6 a.m. is less than the temperature at 3 p.m. or 9 hours after 6 a.m. So in this video, we talked about how to interpret functions on a table, how to interpret functions on the graph, and how to interpret functions in real life. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. Make sure to subscribe, particularly in my class, so you never miss a video, and see you next time.